So I have an unpopular opinion about Issa Rae and Molly's friendship dynamic that was depicted on the hit show Insecure that's on HBO Max. I always felt like at the end of season 4, when Andrew broke up with Molly and when Lawrence revealed to Issa that Condola was pregnant, it should not have left room for them to become friends again. But what's interesting is it was very realistic for that to be written into the storyline because that's usually how most people behave, right? You know that you're no longer aligned with someone, you know that you've outgrown someone. There are things that have been said, there are things that have been done. Molly willing to let Issa's, first whatever that was, community day event fail because at the last minute, at the ninth hour, you don't want to ask Andrew to use his connections at Rock Nation to help her get whoever the artist was that she wanted to get up there to headline so that she can draw attraction to the event. Molly doing that shit, that would have been enough for me to never fuck with her again. And it's not to say that I would have to sit in resentment for the rest of my life or always have some salt on my tongue, but it would have just been okay, we can get to a point where maybe we can coexist in group settings, but I will never allow you to have access to the intimate parts of my life again. Because if you are my best friend, if you are my soul sister, you can feel a way towards me. We can have a period of ups and downs, but when it really, really matters, if you allow those ups and downs to, create this sum total to where you feel like this is going to excuse or justify you doing something that could create negativity or low vibrational energy within my life. And in this case for Issa, you watched her struggle to quit her job. You watched her struggle to keep her faith and confidence when it comes to her event and her, learning to just bring the community together. And when she's finally at the finish line, you want to be a barrier and or create barriers when you know she has worked really hard at this. And it was very simple. Molly was jealous. She was jealous that Issa, despite her always seeing Issa as less than, and she's a hot mess and she needs to get her life together in all areas, Issa was able to find something that worked for her and allow it to create positivity, gratitude, joy, and contentment. Whereas Molly had everything on paper, but for the life of her, she couldn't create that positivity. She couldn't be content and she couldn't be grateful. And that happens a lot. And I really would have liked to see the writers go in a direction where Issa continues to grow and step into her womanhood. Molly continues to grow and learn and step into her womanhood, but they do it separately. Because the reality is, how much further would Issa have soared if, right? Just in an alternative universe, if her and Molly never got back to being friends? Would that have created an opportunity for Issa to expound upon her friend group and make some new friends and hang out with new people? It's just very interesting because the show is very realistic. Y'all grew up in LA. Y'all stayed in LA. Y'all creating y'all lives in LA. This is what most people do. But to be extraordinary, it does require you and divine timing to disalign and realign and or not realign, but just align with new experiences that house new people that can, just give you that ascension and that evolution that we all came down here to have. And I know it's a fictional show, but it's realistic fiction, and it speaks to the things we go through. But that's always been an unpopular opinion of mine, as someone that has given people the benefit of the doubt several times over. These days, at the age of 29, the minute you make it very clear that you are willing to allow temporary feelings to create permanency in my life in the form of negativity, there's just no space for you. And I really would like to see that depicted more on shows, especially amongst Black women. If you know that somebody is a friend of me or they have some resentment or some jealousy, you don't have to prove to your flesh and ego that you're a good person and a good sister and a good friend by way of letting that energy stay in your life. You don't. And that's just always been my unpopular opinion. They should have not circled back at the end of season 4, but it's realistic that it was depicted that way because that's how most people operate. We go back to doing what we know instead of challenging ourselves to learn something different. So that's just my 2 cents.